Hello children, Sai Ram. How are you all? Now children, I will start with your history lesson. Before starting the first lesson of history, let us revise what you all have learned in your previous standards. What is history, children? Now you all have learned in your fifth standard. History is a coherent account of significant event of the past. Okay, so this is a timeline. Normally all the events are in the chronological order. You have learned in your previous classes. Sources of history, they are divided into oral sources, written sources, material sources. Now oral sources, it could be in the form of songs, telling of stories. These are the oral sources. Written sources are inscriptions in stone. It could be the cave paintings, then something written on the paper or wood. These are your written sources. Material sources, we have, for example, the in Harappan civilization, children, you remember about the seals, then the potteries, weapons, tools. They are all your material sources, the artifacts. These all things you all have learned in your lower classes. These are the sources of history. Okay, that is, see, you can see the pyramids, you can see the coins, some carvings, manuscripts. These are the sources of history. But in standard 10th, you will be learning applied history. What is applied history? Applied history is the application of the historical information in your day-to-day life or in the present times. So all your lessons of standard 10th history are based on applied history. That is, you can apply that in your day-to-day life. We'll proceed with the first lesson of history, that is historiography, development in the West. Children, what things come to your mind when you see this word research? Things like laboratory, then some experiments, observations, scientists. All these things come to your mind when you see this word research. Something like that? Absolutely correct. Then that is your physical and your natural sciences, physics, chemistry. You perform laboratory experiments, right? You go to the lab and perform the experiments. This is your biology. So these are all your physical and the natural sciences. Now we have one more research, that is historical research. Let us learn what is this historical research. Now, historical research, writing and studies, they are carried out with an objective of understanding the chronology of past events and their interconnections. And this is a continuous process. Now what about this interconnections? What is this interconnection? Now children, if you remember in your Stone Age period, you will have learnt about the transition of the man, right? That is Homo erectus, Homo sapiens, Homo sapiens sapiens. So that is a transition. Similarly, the events, as I told you, they are arranged in a proper sequence. So history is learning about the chronological events of the past. In physical and natural sciences, the empirical, or you can say the laboratory method of experiments and observation is used to verify the available knowledge. For example, suppose the gravitational law, Pythagoras theorem, we can prove that, right? So irrespective of time and space, these laws which are formulated, they will always remain true. You can perform that experiments and you can get a conclusion, or you can ascertain the truth. You can science as it is based on facts, right? So you can perform the experiments and arrive at the truth or ascertain the truth by performing your experiments in the lab. So the physical and natural sciences, okay, you can verify the available knowledge by doing the experiments and observation. So this method will allow you to formulate the laws that remain irrespective true irrespective of time and space. As I told you that the Pythagoras theorem and the gravitational law, if you want to check, you can do it even now, even though you were not available during that time when these laws were formulated. But you can test it repeatedly, you can prove these laws repeatedly in the physical and the natural sciences. But in historical research, children, we cannot perform these experiments. Okay, it is not possible to use the method of laboratory experiments on observation. Now, why this is so? Because at that time we were not present in the historical time and space, and you cannot recreate the events which have happened in the past. Therefore, we cannot use the laboratory method or experiments in the historical research method. Okay, now it is not possible to formulate laws that remain true irrespective of time and space. Whereas in the physical and natural sciences, you can prove that repeatedly. But in historical research method, it is not possible because we cannot recreate the events which have happened in the past. So, what are the objectives of writing history? Why is history written? What is the aim or what is the objective of writing history? The first thing is that to put the past events in the chronological order, and then it has to be analyzed, verifying the authenticity of the collected document. Now, for example, if you get any document, you cannot say it belongs to the historical time and all this. It is not possible, because for that, whatever is written, it has to be, we require an expert who is having a knowledge about the lettering style, about the script. So it is not possible for you and me to find that. It is the job of a historian or those who are having expert knowledge. They understand the script, they understand the language, and then they will tell us whether it is a authentic document or not. And then after that, after critically examining all the documents, the various sources, it ascertains the truth. So the objectives of writing history are to put the past events in the chronological order and analyze, verifying whether the document is authentic or not, and after that we will ascertain the truth. So these are the objectives of writing history. Now children, in your 10th standard, you get such concept maps in your examination. Okay, and this has to be put in a proper sequence. If you put in a wrong sequence, then you will get wrong. You have to put in the proper correct order. So objectives of writing history, such concept maps you will be getting in your examination. So children, for writing a historical narrative, historical research method is used. For that, what is done, what are the steps taken? First, they will examine, the historians, they will examine the relative references of the historical information which is available. They will collect it, and then they will highlight the processes that lead to the historical traditions, carrying out the comparative analysis, then understanding the references, then they will form some questions, formulate hypotheses, then the critical examining of the various sources, and then they arrive at writing of a historical narrative. So various steps, all these research, that is a historical research method, includes various steps for judging the authenticity of a document, and then the historical narrative is written by the historian. Children, now why is an expert needed to check the authenticity? Let us see what is the need of an expert. Now we need an expert who knows the language and script of a historical document. In order to read and understand its meaning, he should know what is the meaning of it. So there are certain experts who are expertise in the various disciplines that help in the research. Now these experts, what they do, they examine the authenticity of the document by using various criteria such as lettering style, type of the paper, authority, that is stamps of authority, etc. Later on, this document is again scrutinized by the historian with the help of the relevant historical references. Let us see the disciplines contributing in the historical research. The first is archaeology, that is a scientific study of past human life and culture. These are the various disciplines which are helpful for conducting the historical research. We require the experts. There will be experts in various fields. They have expertise in various fields. So one such is archaeology, that is the scientific study of past, human life and culture. Then this archival science. Children, archival science is a place where all the old books or documents are kept. Manuscriptology. It is a study of history through the use of handwritten documents. Epigraphy. It is a study of inscriptions. This is an example of the earliest inscription which is kept in the Louvre Museum, which is in France. Now you can see here in this a soldier. Okay, you can see soldiers. You can see a general in the front, and he is leading his soldiers who have the spears and shields. You can see in this inscription. Children, you can see that the previous picture which I showed you about the earliest inscription which is kept in the Louvre Museum in France. Now that picture, it shows a fragment of the earliest inscription. Forward in that inscription, you can see a forward marching file of soldiers. Those are holding shields and spears. They are seen here, and the general is in the front. Now children, this recording of events, okay, then how these events should be recorded, the tradition of recording these events, it can be traced back to the Sumer civilization, okay, in Mesopotamia. Now in that, what they used to do through the inscriptions, the names of the Sumerian kings and the stories of their battles fought is being preserved through inscriptions. Now this is the earliest inscription which is being shown. It dates back to 4500 BC. It records the battle which is fought between two kingdoms. It is now displayed at Louvre Museum in France. So this is also a very important question in the examination. These are in the textbooks. If you see, they are separately given in the boxes. So you have questions from these boxes too. This also you have to do it very, very carefully. Another method of various discipline is numismatics, that is study of coins. Okay, there can be some experts, those who know that this coin belonged to which period or during the which emperor's time, that is numismatics. Next is the analysis of the lettering style. Linguistic, that is scientific study of languages. Genealogy, that is study of the lineage. Now what is that? Basically it is about the genetic structure. Now example, suppose in an excavation any skeletons are found. So these skeletons, and they belong to which civilization, all such things are studied. So these are the various methods, okay, disciplines which are helpful for conducting the historical research. Disciplines helpful in historical research: archaeology, epigraphy, archival science, linguistics, numismatics, genealogy. Again, these are the concept maps which could be asked in your examination. So you have to do all that very, very carefully. We have learnt about the historical research method, critical examination of the documents, writing of history. Okay, so this is the tradition of historiography. So the writing of the critical historical narrative is known as historiography, and the scholar who writes such a narrative is a historian. Now when he writes about that history, he has to have a conceptual framework. Now what is this conceptual framework? Or the conceptual framework can be like you can say that's a border or a limit which is set for the studies. A historian cannot include all the things because history is a vast subject. So he has to restrict his study on a particular question. He cannot include everything. So the inclusion and interpretation of historical events depends on the conceptual framework which is adopted by the historian. Now let us learn about the tradition of historiography through a video.
You may have come across a situation where you and your sibling had an argument, and when your parents asked you to explain the reason for it, your sibling's side of the story was completely different from yours. Your parents don't know whom to believe. So to find the truth, they question not only you and your sibling, but also somebody who might have been present during the argument. And it turns out that their version is slightly different from yours and your siblings. People who study history also face a similar situation. When they study a historical event, they also come across different stories or versions of the same event. Their task is to carefully examine each version and select the most accurate ones. In science, one can go to a laboratory and conduct experiments to prove or verify the available knowledge. And this proven knowledge remains valid irrespective of time and space. This method is called empirical method. Since history deals with the time gone by, so one cannot sit in a time machine and go back to past to prove the available knowledge. Therefore, the research methods used for history are different from those of science. Since history often deals with the texts written in ancient languages, experts who can read and interpret these languages play an important role in the study of history. These experts also analyze if the information provided in these texts is authentic or not. History experts also take help from experts in the other fields such as archaeology, epigraphy, study of inscriptions, linguistics, study of languages, numismatics, study of coins, genealogy, study of lineage, etc. An expert of history studies not only historical events but also how different historians have written history. This study of written history is called historiography, and a person who does this job is called a historian. The job of a historian is challenging yet exciting. Do you want to know how? Then imagine yourself to be a historian who wants to find the answer to the question, what was the role of students in India's freedom struggle? To find the answer, your first task will be to analyze different historical accounts that mention the role of children during the freedom struggle. Chances are that these books may have been written by the British and Indian writers. Therefore, both sets of writers would have presented the same information in different ways. A British historian may have accused Indian political leaders of diverting children's attention from studies by asking them to join regular protests, whereas an Indian historian may have viewed children's participation necessary to instill a sense of patriotism in them. As a historian, your job is to examine both the versions. You have to be careful that you are not siding with one version because it supports your own opinions. A historian's job does not end with collecting information. They have to continuously analyze and interpret all the information. The main goal of a historian is to find answers to the question that they set out at the beginning. A historian has to deal with heaps of information. To avoid getting lost in all the information, a historian depends on a conceptual framework. A conceptual framework works like a boundary that keeps the research of a historian focused around the main question. A conceptual framework helps in writing history in a logical and consistent manner. Even the way a historian presents all the information is determined by a conceptual framework. But what about the historiography of those times when people did not know how to write? How do historians study the history of those times? In ancient times, people preserved their history by painting in caves, composing songs and ballads of the bravery of men and women, telling stories, etc. And historians use these sources to study the history of those times. The other sources to study history are old coins, inscriptions on stones, fossils, humans and animal bones, etc. Let us summarize what we have learned so.
Children, you just now saw about the tradition of historiography. That is, writing of critical historical narrative is known as historiography. And a scholar who writes such a narrative is a historian. Inclusion and interpretation of historical events by historian depends on the conceptual framework adopted by him. Now children, ancient communities all over the world, they have used various means to pass the historical information, which are looked now as a very important source of history in the modern historiography. Let us see how this information is passed. Okay, it is passed through storytelling, cave paintings. Now, for example, you have learned about the Bhimbetka paintings, right? Cave paintings. All these are passed from one generation to other generation, so that this information is passed to generations. Then ballad. What is it? It is a song or a song-like poem that tells a story. These are the traditional means which are now sources of modern history, that is storytelling, singing songs, stories of life and well of ancestors, cave paintings. So through this our information is passed from one generation to another. Otherwise how we would know about it? So through various books and all you can learn about your history. You will get information about the history. Let us see what are the characteristics of modern historiography. Now in this, it is a method which is based on scientific principles. It begins with the formation of relevant questions. Now these questions are anthropocentric. Now what is the meaning of this? It means that these questions are about the deeds of the members of the human societies of a particular period. So first the questions are being framed. They are the relevant questions are framed which are based on the scientific principles, and these questions are anthropocentric, means these questions are about the deeds of the members of the ancient human societies of a particular period. And then these answers which are found, they are supported by the relevant evidence. History presents a graph of mankind's journey with the help of the past human deeds. That is the transition which we have seen, as I gave you the example of the Stone Age man, right? So these are the characteristics of modern historiography. Let us learn about the characteristics of modern historiography in this video.
You may know that the word history is derived from the Greek word histor, meaning a learned or a wise man. The term was first used in 5th century BCE by the Greek historian Herodotus as the title of his book, The Histories. Since ancient times, history has been recorded in several different ways. The earliest known inscription recording history belongs to the Sumerian civilization and dates to 4500 BCE. Today it is on display at the Louvre Museum in France. Modern historiography considers such traditional means as the sources of history. Modern historiography has 4 main characteristics. Firstly, its method is scientific and begins by identifying relevant questions. Secondly, the relevant questions should be anthropocentric, that is, the actions of human beings and not divine deeds should be considered. Thirdly, the answers to these questions should always be supported by facts or authentic evidence. And lastly, historiography traces the journey of humankind based on past human deeds. By the 18th century CE, Europe had seen considerable progress in the fields of science and philosophy. This influenced the belief of scholars that scientific methods can be applied to study social and historical facts. The philosophical discussions now emphasized on the importance of separating facts from opinions in both history and historiography. Göttingen University was established in Germany in the year 1737 CE. It was the first university ever to have an independent department for history. Prior to this, the European universities were only interested in discussions related to divine phenomena. After the establishment of Göttingen University, other German universities also set up their own history centers. Let's summarize what we have learned so far.
Children, now you watch the video of the characteristics of the modern historiography. It is a method which is based on scientific principles. It begins with the formation of relevant questions. The questions have to be relevant, and these questions are anthropocentric. They are depending on the deeds of the human beings, not anything divine. Okay, and answers to these questions should be supported by relevant evidence. It should have evidence. And lastly, it presents a graph of mankind's journey with the help of human deeds. You also learnt about Herodotus. He is the father of history. Okay, history is originally a Greek term, and Herodotus, he was a Greek historian of the 5th century BCE. He has wrote his first of his book entitled The Histories. Though Herodotus, he is the father of the history. Children, now you can see here what is written, assignment. After this video, you will be getting a link wherein you will be having certain questions based on the topic which was covered today. What have we learned today? We have learned about the traditions of historiography, the characteristics of the modern historiography, physical and natural sciences, historical research, various disciplines helpful for writing the historiography. So all these topics, whatever are covered today, you will be having an assignment on that. Afterwards, after this video, you have to go there and then you have to write that answers and submit it to us. Okay. Thank you, my dear children. Have a good day. We will meet in the next class.